Good morning, campers or viewers. Well, I've just woken from a good night's sleep, which was a slight surprise because when I got back from the ride yesterday, the inside of the tent was swarming with ants. What a nightmare, they were everywhere. So of course I've had to take everything out, shake it all down and clean them out. So in the back of my mind I thought, am I going to have a good night's sleep? Am I going to be pestered by these ants again? Thankfully not, we're okay. Anyway, like I say, good night's sleep. It stayed dry last night, which was good, and it's dry this morning. It's just a bit misty, but that's okay, that'll soon burn off. I'm just going to have a nice coffee and some of these porridge oats, and we'll be making tracks. Okay, just pulling away from the campsite and got this lovely park. Beautiful. Nice cycle path as well. On our way to Thiepval now. Nice little hill. There it is. You can see Thiepval just above those trees. Memorial there to the 18th Division. This memorial commemorates the 18th Division for their liberation of Thiepval in late September of 1916. In 1914 the Germans established their front line here and turned the village into a strong point. A large chateau was fortified with trenches and pillboxes, and the cellars were extended with deep tunnels. For nearly 3 months the Germans stubbornly held the village, but when Thiepval was captured on the 26th of September, the village, along with the chateau, had practically been erased. With the capture, the focus was now on taking the Schwaben Redoubt, half a mile to the north. This aerial image shows the tight network of trenches that made the redoubt so difficult to capture. The trenches were deep and well defended by many machine gun emplacements, and being situated on a high point, it was of great strategic importance. On the evening of the 30th of September, the 8th East Surreys attacked the Schwaben Redoubt. It was at this time that my great-uncle, Jack Bagg, volunteered to deliver messages between the Schwaben and Thiepval, a round distance of over 2 kilometres. The night was intensely dark, and the exits to the village were being heavily shelled. For his bravery, he was awarded the military medal. In the months that followed, the wet weather turned the battlefield into a mud bath and progress slowed. In what was one of the final engagements of the Battle of the Somme, on the 18th and 19th of November, the East Surreys took part in an action near to the village of Grandcourt. Their objective was to capture a trench at the far end of a wide shallow valley. This area was targeted by enemy artillery, machine guns and snipers and was known as Death Valley. Communication wires were continually being cut, so messages had to now be delivered by hand. And once again it was Jack Bagg who volunteered to deliver messages over what must have been the most difficult and treacherous conditions. So incredibly, within the space of 7 weeks, Jack had been awarded a bar to his military medal. So this is the new visitor centre. This wasn't here when I came years ago. Let's go walk to the memorial now. What a day. Those people just give you a sense of scale of this. It's absolutely huge. There you go. 72,000 men who were killed in the Somme area. This is the Somme sector. With no known grave. Just noticed on the panels there's areas that look like names have been removed. Perhaps the chap that was there was subsequently identified. Same here. There you go, Thiepval Memorial. Highly recommended for a visit, especially with the new visitor centre they've got there. Entrance to the memorial here is free. Entrance to the there is a small entrance fee to the visitor centre, but you know, it's something worth seeing, to be honest. It's quite humbling too when you see all those names up there. 72,000 names of men who were never found. In the build-up to the Somme offensive, the British artillery pounded the German positions for a week, firing over 1.5 million shells. The mainstay of the guns used was the 18-pounder field gun, of which over 800 were deployed during the bombardment. My great-grandfather, James Wharton Oakes, served in the 153rd Brigade of the Royal Field Artillery. He was a sergeant in a detachment for an 18-pounder gun. Manned with a crew of 10 men, the 18-pounder could fire shrapnel, high explosive or smoke shells to over 3 miles. Each crew member had a specific role. 1 to 6 were the gun crew, 7 to 10 were the reserves, who also took care of the ammunition limber and horses, and James, as sergeant, was in charge and known as the number 1. James, as part of the 153rd Artillery Brigade, was attached to the 36th Ulster Division, who were to serve with distinction from the woods that we see here. Formed in September of 1914 as part of Lord Kitchener's new army, the 36th Ulster Division was made up mainly from members of the Ulster Volunteer Force, who formed into 3 existing regiments: the Royal Irish Fusiliers, the Royal Irish Rifles and the Royal Inniskilling Fusiliers. Thiepval Wood. How do? In this sector, the German front line was established on the high ground between the River Ancre and Thiepval village, and from February of 1916 the 36th Ulster Division held a front line that spanned the River Ancre and ran along the tree line of Thiepval Woods. The orange X on the map marks where I am in what was no man's land. The massive bombardment was to cease at 7:20 am, and then at 7:30 the infantry assault would begin. However, the Ulster's commander, Major General Nugent, realised that the ending of the bombardment would allow the Germans valuable time to come up out of their deep trenches to defend any attack. So he ordered his men to leave their assembly trenches and creep forward during the final moments of the bombardment to be even closer to the German front line. and when the guns fell silent, the 36 Ulsters rushed forward to breach the German front line. The tactic worked so well that the Ulsters captured the Schwaben Redoubt and punched a hole a mile deep into the German lines. However, as the advance was not matched by units on either side, the Ulsters were now dangerously exposed and open to attack on three sides, and were now running out of ammunition and supplies. The Germans countered strongly and by 10 PM had pushed the Ulsters back, regaining most of the ground they had lost that day. There is no question that the Ulstermen had proved themselves. They fought bravely for ultimately little gain and had suffered great loss, with over 5,000 men being killed, missing or wounded. This memorial is known as the Ulster Tower and was opened in 1921 to commemorate the men of the 36 Ulster Division and all those from Ulster who fought in the First World War. This plaque honours the names of the 9 men of the division who won the Victoria Cross during the Battle of the Somme. From the tower you can arrange a guided tour of the trenches in Thiepval Woods by staff of the Somme Association, which I can highly recommend. These photos are from a few years ago when our guide was the excellent Teddy Colligan, who along with Phoebe staffed the tower for many years. Can't believe this weather, fantastic! Let's hope it stays, eh? Okay, next stop, Beaumont-Hamel. Now, that's the scene of where the Newfoundland Regiment were notoriously slaughtered. And on the far side, on the hill on the far side there, the other side of the Ancre River, is where the park lies. So I suspect I got a very steep climb as I cross the river and come out the other side. It's normally the trade-off, isn't it, when you've got a nice bit of downhill, is a brutal climb at the end of it. Let's have it. Here we go, this is the trade-off. Nice steep hill. Whoa. Beaumont-Hamel. Alright, she parked the bike. Another school trip by the looks of it. Let's hope they're well-behaved kids and don't want to thieve the bike. Okay, so we're at Beaumont-Hamel, Newfoundland Memorial. I couldn't have picked a better day for it, it's absolutely gorgeous. As you walk round, you'll notice the undulating ground, and they are in fact shell holes. There you go. No guesses as to what they are. An impressive memorial, isn't it? The Caribou, North Newfoundland. Overlooking the ground where it all happened. The Newfoundland Regiment, they of course attacked on the first day of the Somme. They didn't attack the same time as everybody else. It was their turn to go over the top about 9 o'clock, 9:15 I think. And of course they lacked the element of surprise. And apparently the first wave of attack there were many casualties streaming back to the trenches, of course, and all the communication trenches that we see down here were chocker with people being moved back. And of course the Newfoundland Regiment couldn't get forward to the front line, so the commander basically said, just over the top boys, go for it now. So before they even got to the front line, many of them were shot down. And certainly nobody got no further than that tree that you see in the middle distance. Call that the dead tree, and that was effectively where the attack petered out. Just beyond, I'm not so sure whether it's as far as the tree line there, that's where the German front line was, and they just had an absolute duck shoot, really. Poor old Newfoundland Regiment guys, they were just wiped out. We're just approaching now what were the front line trenches. This would have been a supporting trench, and this is the front line. Now, it is true there was a hell of a bombardment in the run up to the opening day of the Somme, but these Germans, the German division that was there, the German 26th Division, they'd been there a long time, so they'd fortified and dug deep. Their trenches were not like our trenches. Their trenches, they'd put a lot of effort into making them really defensible and deep. So like most of the line, they withstood the bombardment, and by the time everybody went over the top, they were ready. They were ready for us. Just looking across, I mean, you can make out the base of the trees over there, you know, so a man standing up would be seen easily. The effective range of a German machine gun, we've had no trouble picking off the men from here. Obviously, it doesn't apply to sheep, but they're warm with these coats on. Hey, okay. Oh, I'll start stampede. This is a continuation of the German front line. That monument that you can see, the statue atop the plinth, that's the 51st Highland Division Memorial. It was these guys that actually captured Y Ravine, which sits just behind to the left, and they went on to capture the village of Beaumont-Hamel. And I've probably mentioned it a few times already, but this is another memorial worth coming to see. If you're prepared to go for a little bit of a walk and go visit all the trenches and stuff, it gives you a real sense of scale, I guess. You know, they talk about trenches and you see pictures of trenches, but you see just how close they are together here. And actually you get to see, for example, the German viewpoint too. You can understand why it was so easy for them to wipe out a battalion of men in a few minutes. But yeah, definitely worth a visit this if you're in the area. It's not far from Thiepval, Albert. By car it's probably 5 or 10 minutes. It's taking me about half hour by bike, but I'm going to push on now. See if I can do a few more miles. hope you've enjoyed this video. Feel free to check out part 4 as I continue my journey north.